It is mailbag time. Welcome back. I'm Jake Ellenbogen. We'll be diving into the mailbag. Before we do, just want to let you guys know that you can follow me on all social media at JK Bogan, including Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and Kick. And in addition to that, just want to let you guys know that today's sponsor is Prize Picks. And like I've said before, I'll say it again, $50 instantly when you play a $5 lineup, win or lose, using my code JK Bogan. That's what it's going to get you. But we got a gimme here, folks. An absolute gimme with Nikola Jokic. 0.5 points. Obviously, he's going to break that. Might break that in the first possession of the game. And so there you go. You have a free gimme here in this little thing. You got Puka Nacua. Look at this yards. It's going up. This was 86.5 the last time I told you about it. It's at 90.5 receiving yards. I still love it. I am all on the Puka train, always have been, probably always will be. In addition to that, of course, with the NFL, you have the games on Saturday. So obviously we have this set up for the Sunday game against the Jets. But if you want to get in on the action with Kansas City and Houston, there are some opportunities here. And of course, you can filter between, the different things there. So get in on the action with Prize Picks. Use my code JK Bogan. Get $50 into your account instantly when you play at least a $5 lineup. And this right here would qualify. It's just 2 to 6 players in your lineup, win or lose, $50 when using JK Bogan at signup. All right, folks, the time has come. I had a lot of people asking me, hey, when the hell are we going to get our roundtable, or not roundtable, when are we going to get our mailbag? Well, the mailbag was coming. I just had a lot of things I was working on. We had Rob Liefeld yesterday on the show. Will say, while that was a little niche for some people, and I saw people leave the live stream saying, I'm not into comic books, you didn't stay for the best part. Rob is a diehard Rams fan, and I know a lot of you really appreciated, that interview. So I'm just going to say this before we dive into the roundtable. I am putting together a new show. At this time, details are very limited, but I'm putting together a new show, not just football, not just, comic books, whatever. I'm going to bring on people and I'm going to have them tell their story. Rob is somebody that's already confirmed to come on that show. It's going to be different. It's not just Rams. So if you're interested in me, you're interested in my career, and you're interested in my ability to interview people and bring on cool people, well, I got news for you. We're going to have a lot of cool guests, and I'm really excited about it. So if you're interested in that, more details to come. Definitely be sure to follow my social media. And of course, I will drop the new YouTube channel that is going to house that on this channel. So in the community tab, you are going to find out a lot of information is coming down the pipeline. If you like my content, Rams or not, I'm going to have more channels. So I'm going to focus on gaming again. I'm going to put together a gaming YouTube channel, and I'm going to have a YouTube channel specifically for that show. And if you guys have ever seen the Joe Rogan Experience, it's going to be like that. I won't have guys obviously in studio because I don't have the budget for that, to fly people to upstate New York and record in this box. As much as I love it, it's way too small to have 2 people here. But with that said, those are the plans. So I figured I'd let you guys know. Now let's get into the thick of things here. Love the mailbag participation. I'm going to give myself a thumbs up just because I feel like I can. We got 46 comments, so let's dive right into it. Okay, not question, but I'm not sure if you saw this, but on that deep play action pass to Puka, Kyron was supposed to do a play action on the left, and he canceled out of it to block a guy coming off the right because he saw the blitz. Absolutely incredible blitz pickup. I assume you are talking about that one play. I think it was Leonard Floyd, but I don't remember exactly the play. I know what you're talking about, though. And to me, I'm not surprised. This is why, by the way, I love my audience so very much. Not only are you guys loyal, but you know ball. If you're willing to go out there and put this stuff in my mailbag, it just tells me you know football, and these are the type of people that I want to be around. So, Nolan, appreciate you. It doesn't have to be a question. this made my day just seeing this. This is why, folks, when you wonder why Kyron Williams, despite the fact he doesn't have the best explosive grade and he didn't run the best 40 time, why he's always out there and they trust him, this is why. Because these are the things off scheduled that he can do, and it helps make this team better. So I absolutely love that you brought this up. Shout out to you for that. It'd be so fun to watch a game with Rob. Totally agree with you, MT2. Absolutely. I would love to do that. Maybe there's some day that we'll be able to do that. Maybe do a watch party or something together. That'd be a lot of fun. Rob was just so much fun to talk to. Just a great guy, supportive of what I do, and then just having him on talking about his time as a Rams fan. Everyone's been talking about the story he had about the two 49er fans undercover. Obviously, that was some funny stuff. So really appreciate that. Glad you enjoyed Rob coming on. Boys demand. Hopefully I got that right. I hope McVay runs a lot against the Jets. I hope they can get to Rodgers, make him really uncomfortable this Sunday. I believe this is the key to success versus the Jets. Let me know what you think. Aloha from Hawaii, lifelong Rams fan. So aloha to yourself. Appreciate you. I will say this. I think you're right. They got to run the football. They got to establish the run, open up the play action pass, and they obviously have to get to Rodgers. They're going to have to bring Rodgers down. This is not somebody that's going to slip out of sacks the way a Jalen Hurts does, the way Kyler Murray does, the way Brock Purdy does. So this is an opportunity where if you get to him, there is no excuse. Jared Verse can't be missing sacks. Byron Young can't. They need to bring him down, and I think they will. So we'll see if they get to him, but I agree 100%. You got to make him uncomfortable, and you got to be able to run the ball against the Jets defense. Totally agree with that. Do you think Kupp will have a bounce-back performance this week for the Jets, assuming Sauce will be on Puka? Jeremiah, this is a great question. I think he'll bounce back. He probably finds the end zone in this one, I would have to imagine. I don't necessarily think he's going to have like 120 yards or anything like that, just because I think the Jets defense is going to bottle him up in all likelihood. But if he has like 7 catches for 70 yards and a touchdown, are we really going to complain? That's kind of what I have here. I don't think he's going to have a breakout game, but he's not going to have 0 yards and 0 catches back-to-back games either. Do you think Witherspoon will get promoted to starter after last week's performance? Dominic, so I've been told that Witherspoon is going to start. So Kello is going to start, at least start the game as the starter. Will that change as the game progresses? I don't know, maybe. But as of right now, Kello did enough. He is going to get the nod. And I think a lot of that does come into the fact that while he had a great game and obviously should start, Kobe Durant is coming off an injury where they probably want to ease him back. So, make no mistake about it. They definitely saw the impressive performance he had on film. And so he should play a lot more in this game than he has in recent weeks, except for, of course, the 49er game. So great question there. Did have some intel, so I wanted to let you know there. Okay, Gene, how we doing? Jake, I have a bad feeling that Verse is falling out of favor with the Defensive Rookie of the Year voters for Quinion Mitchell. It seems like the award is predicated on sacks for D-line, not on the impact one makes on the game. Verse is one of the most dominant edge rushers in the game. His quarterback pressures are among the highest in the league. He consistently gets double-teamed and is a force to be reckoned with. He is clearly Defensive Rookie of the Year. I just hope the voters can see what we see. Totally agree with you. And this is what I'll say. It's very simple. I've seen Eagles fans talking about it. I have no issue with Eagles fans or the Eagles, but I'll say this. Okay, you can't, on one hand, you can't have both ways. You can't sit here and say how Jared Verse has no sacks, and this is why, when Quinion Mitchell doesn't have a ton of interceptions either. I believe he has, 0 or 1? He has, I think, 1. So he doesn't have a ton of interceptions. So it's not like you're talking about a guy that has 11 interceptions. He's not having like a Trayvon Diggs type of season, right? So I don't like that. I really, the people that know ball know that Jared Verse is the Defensive Rookie of the Year. Quinion Mitchell's having a great year, but also we have to be honest with ourselves. Is Quinion Mitchell having the best rookie season a corner's ever had? No. He's having a good rookie year. Cooper DeJean is having a great rookie year. You can't tell me he's not playing off him, because another thing, you can't have it both ways. You can't say, well, Jared Verse is doing this because Braden Fisk is also, so he deserves. But then not mention Cooper DeJean when you're talking about Quinion Mitchell. So that's how I have it. I think there's a lot of hypocrisy, and that's what I'll say there. Verse is top 5 in pressures, okay? That's all she wrote for me. He's top 5 in pressures. We're going into week 16 here, and Verse is still top 5. He is clearly the defensive rookie of the year. EADG. What do you think the game score is going to be? Also, how much do you think Higbee can do for us now that he's coming back? And how big of a part will he be to help our receiving game? Great questions all around. I got 31-24 Rams, and I think Tyler Higbee goes for 4 catches, 62 yards, and finds pay dirt for a touchdown. So 4 catches, 62 yards, and a touchdown for Tyler Higbee. I understand some people might say you're way overestimating him. You're way higher on him. He is washed, whatever. They're going to ease him in. I think they've already been easing him in. I think him not playing the last 2 weeks when Sean McVay said he probably could be playing and they want to, go easy with him, I think that's what they've been doing. But they've now seen this offense really lacking a guy who can make plays after the catch. We saw this the last time in 2020 when they played the Jets. Tyler Higbee had a nice spin move and, took a play, quite a long way. He's also the leading receiver in that game. Sometimes there's just a team that, you play better against the particular team. Tyler Higbee plays better against the Jets. And so I have Tyler Higbee having a surprising performance for some, 4 catches, 62 yards, and a score. P.S. Sorry for all the questions. You're my favorite YouTuber as of right now. It just feels great when your favorite YouTuber answers your sports questions. So obviously I haven't gotten all your questions yet because this is the first one I saw. But hey, appreciate it. Really kind words, Blair. No worries at all. This is what the mailbag is for, right? We all have fun doing this. So yeah, no worries at all. Adrian Angulo, 2024, easy enough. I don't know why that was hard for me. Do you think that last week was a big turnaround for Darius Williams and possibly a confidence booster? I like this. When you're struggling as a corner, a big thing that can kind of turn you around and get your play back on track is when you're able to turn the ball over. And that's something Darius Williams did. It was a bad pass. It was way over everyone's head, but Darius Williams held on to said bad pass. He held on to essentially the game. So I do think he's going to build off that. I think we should see a turnaround. I don't know how big, but he's going to be tested this week. The Jets have one of the best wide receiver tandems in the league with Garrett Wilson. His ability after the catch is astounding. And, Devontae Adams, who has the best rapport in this game if Puka Nacua and Matthew Stafford weren't playing in this game. So that's something to keep in mind there. But yeah, I do think it's going to be a little bit of a boost here. I'm not saying it'll be perfect, but I do think it'll help. Great question. Do you think the Ravens own us? I live in Maryland and I can't escape the kick returner. It always gets brought up. Blair, when was the last time the Rams beat the Ravens? I mean, I get it. It is weird that it gets brought up, but that was quite the battle. We'll see next time if the Rams get them. Maybe even the next time is in the Super Bowl. We'll see. What do we say to people who say that Cooper Kupp only has had that 1,900-yard season because Matthew Stafford only targets one guy? That they don't know what they're talking about. Cooper Kupp had that season because Matthew Stafford had guys that were open. And when you had, Robert Woods and you had Van Jefferson and you had, Odell Beckham Jr. and Deshaun Jackson, I'm not going to throw to a guy that gets open because you're putting an emphasis on defending Robert Woods, defending Deshaun Jackson, defending Odell Beckham Jr. and Van Jefferson. I mean, that's on you. That's not on me. I think it would be dumb if Stafford was like, yeah, I know Cooper Kupp is wide open, but I'm going to throw to the guy who's being triple teamed. Like, I don't know what people want. I mean, he threw to the open guy. He took what the defense gave him. Nothing wrong with that. But yeah, that's what I would say. Robert, do you think we should trade back in the first round, select Benjamin Morrison? Way too early for me to say. Wouldn't be against trading down, wouldn't be against trading up. It just depends on who it is. If you're trading up for a running back, I have an issue with that. If you're trading up for a bookend left tackle of the future, you guys already know my stance on that. I wanted Olu Fashanu, who we're going to see this weekend against the Jets. He's going to be at left tackle. Great matchup against Verse. But if you're, there has to be some sort of positional value there. If you're trading up for a bad positional value, if you're trading up for a safety, for instance, that's dumb. If you're trading up for a running back, that's dumb. You don't need one, right? Trading up for a wide receiver, that could be a game changer. Trading up for a tight end, that could be a game changer. A quarterback, an offensive tackle, I'm okay with that. Corner, okay with that. So, I don't really necessarily have an answer for you that we think. I don't really know because I haven't done too much research on the draft yet. This Rams team is still very much in the thick of things, and I think they'll win the Super Bowl if they stay healthy. So that's my answer there. I like Benjamin Morrison, though, from Notre Dame. We'll see what ends up happening. Go Rams. That's all we got there from Mr. High. Well, I appreciate that regardless. Do you think that maybe Jay Witt should move to tight end? Dude has a great build, can block, looks pretty strong. Well, let's look it up, right? Let's look this up, shall we? What is Jordan Whittington's build right now? So Jordan Whittington stands at 6'1", and he weighs 202. I just think you're asking a little too much for a guy at 6'1", 202 to put on, say, 30 pounds of weight. I don't think he could play tight end. He blocks well enough where in 11 personnel, you could simulate him as a tight end. But yeah, I would probably stay away from that. I like the creativity, but I think he should just play more wide receiver, to be honest with you. Alan, what do you think? What do you think is the outlook at tight end, especially if Higbee isn't that good coming off his injury? Could they cut both Higbee and Parkinson or try to run it back with one of them? Or could they look at Davis Allen or trade for Michael Mayer? I like the Michael Mayer trade. I do. I think that this is a guy that should be getting way more usage in Vegas and is just not. Let's talk about this for a second, okay? So you look at the contract. So let's look at Tyler Higbee's contract. We're going to pull this up because I do this all on the fly when I'm doing these. So look, according to Spotrac, and I'll show you guys this. Okay. So this is the contract here for Tyler Higbee. Now, he's got a void here. This is going to hit no matter what. It's not a lot of money here, as you can see. But then you have, this year, right? You got 9.6, just under 10 million. So you look here, and there's not really, it doesn't say that there's an out. I guess there is an out. Pre-June 1st release would save you about 3.3 million, would incur a $6.2 million cap penalty. You'd probably trade Higbee if you were going to move on from him. You get more in savings. You would have a lesser cap hit. Keep in mind, if you did that, though, 2026, you still have some penalties there. He is not a lot on the books, though. Tyler Higbee's not much on the books. So that's something to keep in mind there when you're thinking about that. Now, let's look at this here in 2025. We're going to look at their cap table here. The Rams cap table, you got Colby Parkinson's the seventh highest cap hit, right? So you look at Tyler Higbee, he's right behind him. Do you want to pay $9 million to tight ends when if Tyler Higbee looks bad and Parkinson hasn't really done anything? Are you sure you want to do that? Parkinson's 25 years old. This is where the cap hit starts to hurt. But you do have an out after the season. My feeling is that the Rams will likely keep Parkinson. Higbee, they might keep. He has to show that he has come back. He's done something. They love him in the locker room. That's kind of how I see that going. But, we'll find out. I think they keep both of them, though. Now, with that said, I think they're going to upgrade tight end. I think they're going to find somebody in the draft and get them on a cheap deal, rookie contract and everything. And now you're okay keeping that money. If they need that money, they can make the move. But I don't feel like they want to just give up on Parkinson after a year. I don't. I don't get that vibe, but this is a great question. I don't think they want to give up on Davis Allen either. Had a back issue, had a shoulder issue this year, just hasn't been healthy. So I think they're willing to give him an opportunity. If the Rams were to relocate, not saying they should, where do you think would be a nice place to play? Nice place to relocate. Great question. I don't know. I'd like him in my neck of the woods. It'd be cool to be able to have the Rams in my area. But all jokes aside, I just don't think there's a better spot than LA. say what you will. I know right now it seems like the fans aren't really showing up in droves like we want them to. But that stadium, how much they've spent on it, I think the only gripe I have is that they have the NFL campus there. So the parking just is kind of a disaster unless you're a season ticket holder. I don't like that. I think the NFL campus being there was kind of part of the sweetener because everybody was against the Rams moving to LA for whatever reason, even though it benefited the league. And we won't even get into that. But yeah, I would say that's my only gripe about the Rams thing. I just think having the NFL Network campus there, it kind of holds back what is really SoFi Stadium. While it is a campus, it's a stadium first and foremost. So now you have people having to take these shuttles late at night and everything. It's just not the most ideal. The logistics are the reason why I didn't go to the Chargers and Ravens game. I just didn't want to deal with the BS. So that's what I would say there. But as far as like if I had to pick anybody, gun to my head, any place, good Lord. I guess I'd pick Vegas. I don't know. I mean, LA is great. I have no issue with them being in LA. That's where I would prefer them to be. Even if you told me I could get them in my neck of the woods, I'd probably say stay in LA. Too many people care about the Rams for me to want to move them. But this is a great question. It definitely was thought-provoking. Blair, back at it. How good of an OC do you think Matt LaFleur is? I assume you mean Mike because his brother's Matt. Mike is good. I think Mike's good. Is he better than Kevin O'Connell? No, but I think he's good. And I think he's going to get a head coaching gig at some point because of it. I still feel like the Jets organization did him no favors. I don't really blame, he got fired. I don't really blame everything on him the way a lot of people do. There's still a lot of Jets fans that think he got the raw deal and it was a mistake to let him go. And I tend to agree. So we'll find out, but I think at some point he's going to be a head coach. During the offseason, would you consider putting up a different brand of content from all kinds of things like movies, video games, TV shows, reviews, really anything? I think it would be interesting and good content. Love the channel, and I'll be at the Cardinals game. Hope we can get the win. Final Flash 1988. First off, love the name. Already told you. And yes, we found out that is a Vegeta reference, so thank God. Love that. Got the Vegeta Funko in the background. I think it's the Super Saiyan Blue evolved. I think it's the evolved version. But anyway, regardless, yes, that's actually, it's funny that you bring that up. It's what I mentioned earlier in the episode, which you had no idea I was probably going to do. I'm working on kind of a Joe Rogan-esque show, bringing on people to interview them and learn their background and everything. Going to start gaming. And I had a gaming channel. I haven't decided how I want to do it. There's a channel that is Jake Ellenbogen Extra. I'm going to use that for one of those. I don't know which one yet. Maybe I'll put it to a vote, but that has over 1,000 people subscribed. It's hard to get subscribers. Even when you have 29,000 on this channel, it's hard to get people to carry over because not everybody is here for me. They're here for the Rams. I'm not ignorant to that fact. They like me, but they're here because of the Rams. If I was talking about crochet or whatever, no one would be like watching. I'm not an idiot to know, like, if I was covering something that no one cared about, they wouldn't be like, oh yeah, I love Jake, I'm just going to watch him talking about cornhole. Like, no, that wouldn't happen. So, yeah, I mean, to your point, I'm definitely exploring that. Definitely the plan. Yankees Unloaded, Downtown Rams, the Rams channel here. And then I haven't thought of a name yet for my channel. Maybe it's just the Jake Ellenbogen Show. I don't know. That'll be my Joe Rogan-esque show. And then I'll have gaming. And I think that's where I'll just kind of draw the line, because I think in that show, I'll be able to have people on from all, walks of life, whether that's talking about football, talking about music, talking about gaming, whatever. I'm really excited about it. And I think that's just how I want to go about it. Yeah, and my gaming channels, obviously, it's like a free-for-all Q&A. We talk about everything. We game, everything. We've done all sorts of stuff. So that's how I'll do that. But yeah, Final Flash, glad you brought that up. Blair, Aaron Donald or Braden Fisk in Jared Verse? Well, how old is Aaron Donald? If I'm getting Aaron Donald now, I'm taking Jared Verse and Braden Fisk. If I'm getting Aaron Donald in his prime, or, you know, as a rookie, I'm taking Aaron Donald. That's a great question, though. One Logic, if Raheem Morris gets fired, hopefully not, do you think the Rams should hire him as a DC again and move Shula back to where he was? I don't think you can swing that. The way the Rams are winning right now, I don't think you could just demote Shula like that. I don't think that would look good. It would send a bad message. Even if you could get Raheem Morris back, I don't think he's going to get fired, by the way. But even if you could get him back, I think it'd be a bad look, especially because, well, yeah, Shula hasn't been great. Shula hasn't been bad. And Shula's actually introduced the cheetah package that I keep bringing up that I love so much, that I think it's really led to them having the best pass rush in the league. So that's not an easy one, but I would say they probably wouldn't they wouldn't demote him. Okay. It's hard to say, hey, Shula, yeah, we appreciate your work. Why don't you take a step back? Like, he would just walk. He would leave. Watt is an 11-6 record, closer to 11-5 or 10-6 of the old days when there was 16 games? That is a great question. I don't even know how to answer that. 11-6 feels, so when I hear 11-6, right? I feel like that is closer to 11-5 than 10-6. And I couldn't tell you as to why. That's just how I feel. 10-7 just feels like 10-6 to me. You know, 9-8 feels like 9-7. I guess just that win in the win column, regardless of how many games there are, just feels like the same. I don't know. Maybe I'm weird like that. That's just how I see it. Great question. Very thought-provoking there. Greg, hi, Jake. How do the Rams avoid a letdown with an early start cross-country trip in 30-degree weather against an offense that is playing much better and has nothing to gain except for playing the spoiler role? Finger crossed that the Rams come to play. The Rams can avoid a letdown by taking care of the football, by not playing into the Jets' hands, by keeping the ball on the ground, running the football, but not putting the ball on the ground. That there's two differences. Two different things there. If the Rams play to their strengths, they win this game. If the Rams play Jet style of football, the Rams lose this game. You're playing on the road. You're playing 3,000 miles away, so big trip. But in addition to that, you said 30-degree weather, so it's going to be below freezing. That's only happened in Sean McVay's career, I believe, 4 times. And they've only won one game of such. The only game that they've won in below freezing weather, I believe, or it was below 35-degree weather, is the Denver Broncos game. And that game was a one-possession game where Todd Gurley just kept running and running and running. I think he had over 200 yards in that game on the ground. Are they going to do that again? I don't know. But he's only won one game of such. Now, to be fair and to add context, 2 of those games he played against 11-win team and I believe a 12-win team. So, you know, the Bears were really good and then the Packers were really good in the postseason, the 2020 game. But yeah, it's the coldest game since 2022, back when Baker went up against the Packers in primetime. We'll see what ends up happening, but great question. Who do you think we take in the draft? Should we overpay DJ Reed to get him in free agency next year? Well, if you start, should we overpay? I'm going to always say no, because just the way this team operates, I just don't think they're going to overpay anybody for the sake of overpaying them. It might be an overpay in our mind, but I don't feel like they sat there and were like, yeah, we got to overpay Colby Parkinson. I think they just feel like, hey, that's just the going rate, you know? With that said, I couldn't really tell you who I think they draft because I don't even know where they're going to pick. But assuming they pick 32nd, which is where I think that they'll pick if they win the Super Bowl and stay healthy, then I still don't know because I just don't know the draft that well right now. When the Rams are out of it, that's when I'll go ham on the draft. But until then, not really going to have too much to say about the NFL draft. Great question, though. Tuna 106. What is your prediction for each team the Rams face in the playoffs? Okay, so great question. The Rams beat the Lions in the first game of the playoffs, 4 seed versus 5 seed at SoFi Stadium. I'm going to say they win that game 27-23. And then they play, who would they play? So trying to do this in my head here. You got the 1 seed So would they play the 4? No. The 5 seed I would have being the Lions, who they lose to the Rams. Okay. So then the 6 seed would be the Packers going up against the Bucks. I think the Packers win that game. So the Rams would play the winner of the Eagles and the Commanders. And I think the Eagles win that game. I think the Rams go to Philadelphia, and I think they win that game because I think the Rams, not having 2 of their starters on the offensive line and being fully healthy for the first time all year, would play a much different team against the Eagles. I do think they would win that game. We saw the Eagles in Philadelphia. We saw Bryce Young, the way he played in that game. They should have won the game. It was a drop pass by Xavier Legette. So you look at that and you see, hey, look, it's not perfect. You're not like excited to play the Eagles on the road. But if you think that they have no chance to win that game, I don't know what to tell you. They absolutely have a chance. Things have changed. Plus, Brandon Graham, who blew up that whole game, he's out for the year. So they have definitely struggled with that since. With that said, Rams win. Ugly game in Philly, we'll say 20 to 14, 20 to 17, something along those lines. And that means the Rams would play in the NFC title game. They would play the Green Bay Packers, who I think would just barely beat the Vikings in that divisional round. They play the Packers to go to the Super Bowl, just like they did back in the day, and I would have them to win. And I think they win that game in a rematch, finally with their receivers healthy and their offensive line healthy. I think the Rams win that game, which, by the way, do you know what that means? That means that they would host the NFC title game. And I think they would beat the Packers in that one 30 to 23, 30 to 27, we'll say. Rams win it, go to the Super Bowl, play the Bills. And at that point, I think anything can happen, but I think I'll take the Rams, championship pedigree and all. I'll take the Rams over the Bills in a barn burner, very similar to what we saw. I'll take them 35-32. Rams win the Super Bowl. So that's how I have it going. That's a great question, though. Something I really had to think about there because, with all the seedings and everything. Fear for less. Which is a better overall team, Rams or Commanders? I'm gonna say the Rams easily. I really like what the Commanders have done. I was on them before the season started to win 9 games. I really like Jaden Daniels, but I think if the Rams play the Commanders, that could be ugly. I just think that Jaden Daniels has not seen anything like what he's going to see in the playoffs. And I think the Rams, keep in mind, Dan Quinn went to a Super Bowl. He has that. He has some veterans. I just think that the Rams are just a better overall team. They don't really have a lot of things that, they have weaknesses. And you can throw on the Commanders. You can run on the Commanders. They're an opportunistic team, but I think the Rams would win. So right now, I like the Rams. They played a tougher schedule. I'll take the Rams. T-Dog. I was recently asked this question. In your opinion, who is the best player on this D-line? It's hard to choose because they are all so dominant. I'm leaning towards Turner, but it's a hard choice that I had just no answer. Okay, I'm going to say Turner. I think Bobby Brown is the best run defender because he's not put in that position to be the go-to guy, but when he does, he steps in a big way at the end of games. If I need a stop, I'm going to Bobby Brown. If I need the most well-rounded player on the defensive line, it's Kobe Turner. I think he's a superstar that isn't talked about as such. He should be. He was a snub for Defensive Rookie of the Year. I think Braden Fisk has an incredible ceiling, but still Braden Fisk isn't the run defender and the all-around player that Kobe Turner is. So that's what I would say there. If I needed somebody to rush the passer, I might still lean Kobe Turner over Fisk because I think Fisk is great, but I still think that Turner is just more rock solid, going to be consistent, get pressure consistently, and Braden Fisk is that splash player that, and again, he's a rookie, but I think over time, Fisk has a ceiling, and he could be the best for sure on this defensive line. Just right now, I'm giving it to Turner. Great question. Do you think the Rams ever got any credit for fixing Baker? Yes and no. I think it's definitely sat out there that Sean McVay was the last guy to have him. His career was done, and then now he's getting this contract from the Bucs. But I think recently we've seen a lot of credit from Liam Cohen, and Cohen was the offensive coordinator that year as well. Cohen is having a really good year as the offense coordinator, set himself up for a potential head coaching run. I think the Rams get some credit, but I also think Cohen gets credit just based on, who I've talked to and listened to. I think that's an interesting question. Is Matthew Stafford a top 3 quarterback? Why or why not? He absolutely is, and here's why. He can make any throw on the field, okay? He's not mobile in a sense, like he can take off and just run and do it consistently, but he's mobile enough where he gives you a chance. We've seen some incredible plays out of the pocket from Stafford. He's the last pure pocket passer in the league. Aaron Rodgers, you could argue, but like Stafford is more like Ben Roethlisberger, not afraid to just like throw the ball even when the pocket's collapsing, stare into the barrel of a shotgun, take a huge hit. That is what Stafford does. He's a very, very special player in that regard. I guess Jared Goff is very similar too, just doesn't quite have the pocket presence of Stafford. But when you look at Stafford, if I need a guy to come through in the clutch, he's done that. Okay, he does that quite often, and he gets the most out of guys. Puka Nacua is a 5th-round rookie. Would Puka Nacua be the same receiver on any other team? I don't necessarily think so, and I think a lot of it is confidence. When you get off to that start and you have a veteran quarterback that cares that much about you and trusts you, I think it only makes you better. Confidence is everything. Momentum is everything. Puka Nacua would not be the same player if he was in a different situation, say Brock Purdy, for instance, or Geno Smith, or Dak Prescott. I think Matthew Stafford gave him the confidence to become who he ended up being. Stafford is a top 3 quarterback right now. I would only put him behind Josh Allen. I would take him over Patrick Mahomes right now. For the long haul, no. But if I needed to win a game tomorrow and I had the best roster in the league all across the board, I have the best receivers, best running backs, best tight end, whatever, there's only one quarterback I'm taking over Stafford, and that's Josh Allen. I think Stafford's definitely top 3. The stats will never indicate that because the Rams also have, 12, 13 rushing touchdowns at the goal line, but Stafford could easily have thrown those touchdowns too. And the majority of the season he was playing without his starting wide receivers. Tutu Atwell led the team in receiving for 11 weeks, and he barely even plays. So, that's what I say there. Blair, favorite former Ram that is no longer on the team. It's got to be Todd Gurley, but I would really give him a shot in saying, I would really say Corey Littleton was up there for me. Darrell Henderson was up there for me. Corey Littleton was a breath of fresh air, a guy that they should have signed early on in his contract, re-signed him to an extension. They didn't. They let him go. I know he wasn't the same player everywhere else, but I still think he could have done something with the Rams. And just watching him the last time I saw Aaron Rodgers, by the way, he and Aaron Donald just worked so well in tandem. Littleton is only known for a lot of Rams fans as the guy that gave up that catch on Rob Gronkowski in the Super Bowl, but I think it's entirely unfair. I think he had a great year, was thrown in the fire. They move on from Alec Ogletree, really kind of spur of the moment too. And he just took over, and he was a lot of fun, former pass rusher, that was, kind of transferred into that position, played safety, played linebacker at WashU. Washington. WashU is in St. Louis. But I just think that, I'd probably say Todd Gurley, but the dark horse there is Corey Littleton. Great question. Why is Braden Fisk not above Jared Verse in Defensive Rookie of the Year? He has 6 sacks and interior defensive lineman. Pressures, Jared Verse has been better throughout the year. I think Fisk, as of late, has that argument, but I think Fisk hasn't been Jared Verse the whole year. So that's why. But I think they're both great. Blair again. Will you be doing any more Madden videos? I'd like to see you do franchise help this Rams team reach the Super Bowl. I don't like Madden, so I will not be touching Madden, but I appreciate you asking. I really just don't really care for sports video games anymore. Really the only sport video game I've recently played is UFC because I've gotten into that, but yeah, I'm just not really that interested, but yeah, I mean, never say never, I guess. Blair, do you think Roseboom has a shot at breaking Ernest Jones' tackle record? Probably not. I don't think so, but I guess you never know. I don't see him getting that many. I think right now, what's Ernest Jones' Rams tackle record? If I'm not mistaken, I mean, it's pretty damn high. Let's see here. So he had 145 tackles. Okay. So let's see here. What does Christian Roseboom have? Now I'm curious. So he has 120. He is projected to break it. That's crazy. That's such a low tackle number. 146 would break the all-time record. That's okay. You know what? I think he's got a shot. I didn't even realize. I don't know why I thought he had like 101 and he only had 3 games to get to 146. No, he's actually on pace to break it. So I'm going to say, yeah, I think he has a shot. Definitely. One logic, you think the Rams maybe trade for a guy like Joe Milton, has the speed you want. He is a scrambler, great arm strength. I don't, because if they wanted Joe Milton, they would have drafted him. They had every opportunity. So I'd say no on that. Thank you for your question, though. Do you think that Cooper Kupp will play good since against the 49ers he played pretty bad? And will Tyler Higbee improve the offense? Rams Ultra Fan 4000. Higbee will improve the offense. I don't think Cooper Kupp played bad against the 49ers. I think just the game plan was different. He was great in his role as a blocker. Keep in mind, Kyren Williams ran the ball 29 times in that game. That's 58 times in the last 4 days going into that game. So I don't think he played bad, but I get what you're saying. Do you think he's actually going to have some receiving stats? Yes. Will he play well? I mean, I have 7 catches, 70 yards, and a touchdown. That's kind of what I see from him in this one. Fear for less. Do you think you would ever do a Lakers channel? I'll never say never, but the NBA more and more each year just turns me off. There's something that just makes me very sour about watching these players, the load management, the half-ass approach. I was at Staples Center. I don't regret going, but was really turned off how the Lakers looked really good in that game. And then the second half, they just quit. The National Blowout Association, I don't know if I want to cover that. So I'll never say never, but currently as of right now, I wouldn't do a Lakers channel. I have a lot on my plate. But like I said, never say never. We'll see what ends up happening. Did you think any other NFL team wanted Jared Verse? Yes, I do. I know 18 of them passed on him, but I think the teams ahead of the Rams, or behind the Rams in the draft, especially the Miami Dolphins, who took Chop Robinson, I think they would have taken Jared Verse. So yeah, I think a lot of teams wanted him. In your opinion, do you think Kyren is a top 3 back in the league currently as of right now? That'd be tough. I'd probably say he's top 5. Top 7, top 5 to 7. But yeah, I think he's great. I mean, he's definitely a top 7 running back. I thought he was second in the league, and then Saquon had the year he had, and then Derrick Henry proved that he wasn't falling off. And Christian McCaffrey, who's still banged up, is going to miss the rest of the year. He's still fantastic when he's healthy. It's not easy. I'd probably lean more towards top 5 than top 10, but I'd lean more towards top 5 than, top 3. So that's probably where I would have him, top 5 in the league. And I do think you have to factor in his pass protection ability, but I also think not being as much of a threat out of the backfield as a pass catcher is kind of what holds him away from guys like Saquon Barkley and Christian McCaffrey. So that's what I would say there. Do you think Puka Nacua is a top 3 wide receiver? He's getting there. He is getting there. I would probably put him same thing, probably top 5. I wouldn't say he's top 3 yet, but I think he's getting there. I do. John, do you think the Rams should sign a guy like Nick Bolton or Paulson Adebo, or maybe bring Ernest Jones back? I like Paulson Adebo. I know he's suffered that injury. I like him. I like the way he plays. Nick Bolton would be fun. We'll see what ends up happening. They don't really spend a lot of money on, defensive, like linebackers, for instance, but we'll see. Are they going in a different direction? We're going to find out. Who's your favorite Ram of all time? Favorite Ram of all time? That's tough. I would probably say my favorite Ram of all time is either Kurt Warner or Matthew Stafford. Kurt Warner I've interviewed, so I probably lean towards him because I have that connection. Kurt Warner I met at Giants training camp. I followed the Cardinals like they were my own team when Warner was the starter there. I still feel like Warner was dealt a bad deck with the Rams. I think Mike Martz was almost chomping at the bit to move on from him. I love Kurt Warner. I will probably say Kurt Warner is my all-time favorite Ram. Matthew Stafford is pulled away as, because this is a guy that I've defended back when he was in Detroit. He's the guy I've wanted since 2015. So the fact the Rams actually got him, just like Sean McVay, who I wanted them to be their head coach, there's like a soft spot there. But also, I just think Matthew Stafford's a really good dude. Like, the things I've heard, like, he's just a really nice guy. He's got a wholesome family. I'd say Warner and then Stafford. Those are my favorites all time. Obviously, there are other guys there. I've interviewed, Leroy Irvin. I went to his 60th birthday party. So he's obviously one of my all-time favorites. Just going back and watching. Eric Dickerson, I interviewed, one of my all-time favorites. Marshall Faulk, Torrey Holt, those guys. There's a lot of guys that I could say, but I'd say, simply put, Kurt Warner, Matthew Stafford, two guys that won, Super Bowls for this team. Those are my two all-time favorites. Which Ram do you think gets a lot of hate but doesn't deserve it? Kello doesn't count. You made sure to put that one in. Guy that gets a lot of hate, doesn't deserve it. Kello doesn't count. Who gets a lot of hate? Well, Kyron I would have said, but I think as of late people are coming back around on him. I didn't realize how easy it was to forget 2,000-yard seasons in a row when that hadn't been done since Todd Gurley. But, man, this is interesting. Who gets a lot of hate that shouldn't, that isn't a Kello? That is really, There's really not a lot of players that get a lot of hate outside of a Kello. All right, I'll say this. It is Christian Roseboom. This guy is a UDFA out of South Dakota State that they developed into a starter. He was a special teams ace. He has been forced to play alongside Troy Reeder, who I like Troy Reeder, interviewed Troy Reeder, is not necessarily a starter in this league, not priority starter anyway. So I think it limited what you saw out of him. And now we're seeing Christian Roseboom and what he could do with Omar Spates next to him. And there still isn't enough respect given to him the way the disrespect was dished out. So I'd say Christian Roseboom doesn't really deserve the hate he gets. I mean, I understand, earlier in the year, that's fine. But the way he's playing right now, it's like you're either following along or you're not. He's playing very well and definitely deserves more credit. So Christian Roseboom for me. Blair. What I don't get is why the Rams won't just pay a Kello. The dude had a career year last year with a career high in lots of stats, and dude single-handedly carried their secondary last year. I'll be sad if he leaves. Blair, I get it. Kello filled in for Jalen Ramsey. To have to fill those shoes is incredibly difficult. He's never once complained. He's never once gone to the media publicly and called out anybody. It's been a frustrating time for him. He started all 18 games for them last year, was amazing for 14 of them, and then down the stretch, he deals with a groin, refuses to miss a game, and, has some of those moments. You look in the Giants game and so forth, and it's like that's all people talk about. They don't talk about what he did earlier in the year. In addition to that, he did everything you could ask for, and then they refused to pay him what he was worth. So he's barely made any money with this team, and yet he's so loyal to them, and he wants to stick around. So it is frustrating, and it's frustrating the hate he gets. Why won't they pay him? I don't know. They paid a guy coming off a torn Achilles, and they paid Darius Williams, who's getting up there in age, but they had the familiarity factor. I just think it was somewhat of a bad look, and I've been open about that, not just because I'm friends with the family, but I've always liked him from afar before I became friends with the family. I'm friends with the family because they reached out to me. I didn't go out of my way to reach out to them. They opened their arms to me. You know, I made a video about Okello, how I felt before I knew him, unbiased. And then they came out and they're like, wow, you know, this is awesome. And I talked to his dad and everything. And they're great people. You know, they treat me with respect. And, you know, I've had other players' families do this. I've had players' families reach out to me that I've been very, you know, critical of. Like players that I've been critical of. And it hurts, right? You don't want to do that. But I try to keep it real. And so, you know, I see a lot of people that say, oh, you know, you're on Kello's payroll or whatever. No, you'd be surprised. The parents that have reached out to me and said, you know, thank you so much for giving my kid, you know, fair, you know, press or whatever the hell you want to call it. And then I've turned around and I've had to be critical of their play. And they didn't like it, but they understand, okay, I'm in that position. I have to keep it real. I can't have it both, you know, you can't have it both ways. So you literally have to have it both ways. But yeah, so, you know, to your point, I think that they need to re-sign him. He wants to be a Ram. He turned down going to the Ravens. He turned down going to the Falcons. He turned down going to the Colts. He turned down going to a lot of different teams. The Jets were interested. I believe the Giants were. There were some other teams that were interested. A lot of teams that were interested in Okello. But he wanted to be a Ram. And so the reality is this. He wants to be a Ram, and he's playing at the level he's playing at when they call his name and his number. Why not keep him around? That's how I feel. And clearly that's how you feel, and a lot of other people. Thank you for the question. Watt, run it. Do you think the Rams go to the Super Bowl? I do. How would they make it past the Eagles or Lions, who they can't seem to beat? Well, they did beat the Lions at SoFi Stadium. Now, obviously, the Lions weren't what they are today, but they did. They lost a 1-point game with a lot of questionable stuff that went down in Detroit. And they lost a final possession game in OT with a fourth-string offensive tackle, no Puka Nacua for half the game or 3/4 of the game. Majority of their offensive line was done by the end of the game. They were just banged up to all hell. No number one corner. So many different things. Now, the shoe's on the different foot. I don't even think that's how you say it. I don't know how else to say it. But regardless, things have changed. Okay? Now, the Rams are getting healthy, and the Lions are dealing with more injuries than even the Rams had at the beginning of the year. Yes, I would take the Rams. As far as the Eagles go, Rams weren't fully healthy. We saw that offense when they got fully healthy against the Bills. We saw that defense and what they're capable of when they played against the 49ers. I think it would be a much different game, and I don't care if they have to go on the road and play Philly. This is a team that is now won 4 straight on the road after starting 0-3. Okay? They've won 4 straight road games. So I believe that this team would win. I think they have a better coach. They have a better quarterback. They have a better overall team when they're fully healthy. And so that's how I have it. But that's a great question. That's how they get past them. Who do you think is the NFL MVP and why? Josh Allen. I really felt like Saquon had a shot this year. Just kidding. No, I didn't. It's a quarterback award. But Saquon had a shot to be my pick. And now I feel like it's Josh Allen. Lamar Jackson might have better stats, but Josh Allen doesn't have games like Lamar Jackson has where he just disappears against, say, the Steelers defense. And I love Lamar Jackson. That was the guy I had number 1 in the draft. I had him as the top quarterback over Josh Allen. So this isn't me just holding something against Lamar Jackson. I love Lamar Jackson. I'm a bigger fan of Lamar than I am of Josh. But I have to be honest with you guys. Josh Allen at this point in the year, at this point in his career, and at this point in the game is the best player in the league. He is. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. He's the best player in the game. He should win the MVP. It's that simple. Why do you think the 49ers will reclaim the division next season with everyone healthy? Why don't I think? Because I think the Rams have their number. The Rams have won 3 straight games against the 49ers. They should have won week 2 against the 49ers last year. I don't think they have the culture. I don't think they're magically going to learn how to build a culture. They're going to be moving on from a lot of their players. I just don't think it's a great spot right now. When they pay Brock Purdy, who made it clear he's not taking a hometown discount, their cap is going to take a hit. Now, Brock Purdy, and let's be honest here, that 2025 cap hit is probably going to be super low, and they're probably going to pay for it down the stretch. It's going to be a backloaded deal that gives them some flexibility to make some moves. But look at the path right now. The 49ers are old. They have old players. They have to pay their quarterback. They're going to pay their quarterback. He's not giving them a penny of a discount. So there's that. Well, in addition to that, now you have the Rams who rebuilt on the fly. And the biggest issue for the Rams is going to be, how do you replace Matthew Stafford when his time is up? It's not up yet. I still think he gets a 2-year deal with maybe a third-year player option. That's what I suspect this offseason. So that's not an issue yet, right? Rams rebuilt on the fly, lost Aaron Donald, and they had the number 1 pass rush the year following losing Aaron Donald. Not too shabby. Then you have I almost said Carolina Panthers. Then you have the Arizona Cardinals. They have over $100 million in cap space. They are way ahead of schedule, and they still have a shot at winning this division. I'm not saying they will, but why would they already proven they could beat the 49ers? Okay, and then Seattle, rookie head coach, and they have a chance to win the division. So I think the 49ers are trending down. Like, they might try and go all in again next year, but I think the best thing they can do is rebuild and, scrap the team, sell it for parts, and get some draft picks and start building from the ground up. Because I'll tell you right now, when you pay Brock Purdy, it's going to be no different than when, the Rams paid Jared Goff after losing the Super Bowl. You saw it immediately. The Rams in 2019 weren't the same team. They missed it by a game. Then they make the playoffs the following year. Then they trade for Stafford, get back over the hump. But you saw that drop-off. When you pay the quarterback, there's a drop-off. The Rams paid Stafford. Let's not forget that. The Rams gave Stafford his money after the Super Bowl, and they paid Aaron Donald, and then 2022 they fell off. A lot of injuries, yes, but they definitely didn't have the depth they had the year prior after paying those two. So just understand, what they were able to do in a short amount of time was because they had Jared Goff on a rookie deal, the Rams. The 49ers, what they were able to do in a short amount of time is because they had Brock Purdy. They had found him on a rookie deal, was not eligible for an extension until this upcoming season. So just saying. I'm pretty sure this guy is still living with his roommate, which, I live with my roommate, so no issue there. I don't play football for a living. So it kind of puts you in a position where, okay, I think Brock Purdy is ready. He's taken enough. He's given him enough flexibility. It's time for him to get his money. With that said, last but not least, Blair, wow, you really had a lot of questions. I love it. Love the participation. Would you rather lose in the AFC Championship or go to the Super Bowl and get blown out? I assume just NFC, AFC, whatever, interchangeable. Great question. I would rather go to the Super Bowl and get blown out. Getting the Super Bowl, you're mentioned in history. And if you already have one, then it's like, who cares? They won one. When you don't get to the Super Bowl, it's like you don't even have an NFC title in your belt, That says something. So I don't want to get blown out, but I think you look at that elite offense that the Broncos had when they lost 43-8 to the Seattle Seahawks. I think if they play that game 8 out of 10 times, I think the Broncos win that game. But the snowball effect in the Super Bowl is real, and that's why I wouldn't mind it so much. It'd be heartbreaking, and at the same time, it wouldn't, because there would be no chance of winning. I'd rather get blown out than lose the way the Titans lost to the Rams. I'd rather get blown out than lose the way the Falcons lost, giving up a 28-3 lead. I'd rather get blown out than lose the way the Bengals lost, right? I don't want to have a team come back from behind and win in the final moments of the game and have that heartbreak. I would just rather have the blowout and have it not be close. But that's just me, just a different perspective. But wow, Law Mailbag. We're now almost at a minute, almost at an hour. Appreciate you guys. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know it's long, but hopefully I gave you guys something to enjoy and chew on. Again, appreciate all the submissions, and at some point we might have to make this a live stream. I don't know. But that's going to do it. You guys take care. And also, be sure to check out Prize Picks, sponsor of the video. Like I mentioned, did not forget, Nikola Jokic. This is a gimme. A gimme with Puka Nacua. And look at that. You put 20, you're going to win 60 if these hit. Obviously, this will hit. And then you have this one. The only thing is you have to wait until Christmas Day, so don't make a big deal about it. If you still see, hey, why isn't Nikola Jokic had this? It's Christmas Day only. But it's a gimme. So if you feel really good about your lineup and you're missing that one more guy, well, hey, there you go, Nikola Jokic. In addition to that, Merry Pixmas, enter a winning lineup with the highest multiplier to earn your shot at $1 million. So it's Pixmas over on Prize Picks. A lot of opportunities. Definitely check that out. But that's going to do it for me. JK Bogan is the code. $50 instantly when you play a $5 lineup. You could even just play this one. If you copy my $5 lineup, regardless if you win this 15 or not, you're getting $50 tacked onto your account. Hope you guys enjoyed. That's going to do it for me, and I'll see you guys soon. Later, folks. Just want to let you guys know that we are doing all 22 live breakdowns every single week, Rams football related, over on Kick exclusively. That's kick.com/JKBogan if you want to get in on the action. And if you want a little something more than just football, I also do gaming streams as well. So check that out. Link is in the description, and hope to see you there. Do you love talking about the Rams, the NFL, or just want to be a part of a community? Join my free Discord server today. We're over 800 members. We got 24/7 live chat, a level 3 boosted server, the ability to call into JE Live, playing online games with us on Kick streams, toggleable alerts for when I go live on YouTube or Kick so you don't miss a live stream, and exclusive giveaways. Click the link in the description, the comments section, or the link that comes up in the video to learn more and join today.